In this screencast, we'll discuss the examples testing step in the How to Design Functions recipe. Specifically, we'll talk about the syntax that you need to use when you're writing your examples and tests. Here we have the beginning of a function design for a function called double. I've completed the stub, including the signature, purpose, and body of the stub. Now, the next step in the recipe is to complete the examples and tests. I usually start by adding in my calls to start testing and summary. These functions are defined in the CS103 library. Start testing sets up the testing environment so that it will be able to count the number of tests that we call, and of those tests, the number that pass. Summary provides the summary that tells us how many of our tests passed. Now I'm ready to write some examples. We use the function expect, which is also from the CS103 library, for our examples and tests. Expect takes two arguments. The first is the actual value returned by the function. The second is the value that we expect. I'll leave this note behind in comments as a reminder. To create an example, I first need to think about the input that I want to use and the output that I expect from the function. As a simple first example, let's use the input 3. Since the function should double the value we gave as input, we expect a 6 back. Remember, to write this in a call to the expect function, I first need to pass the actual value, or the value that is returned by my function. I get the actual value by calling the function that I am designing. For the second argument, I need to pass the expected value. It's a good idea to run the code at this point to see if we are getting any errors. If we've made any typos, we want to fix them right now while this example is fresh in our mind. We can see that the test failed, but that's okay. We haven't finished designing the function yet. We are currently still working on our examples. Now I'll add a second example, following the same pattern as the first. I will pass the actual value by calling the function that I'm designing, and then pass the expected value. Again, I'll run the test to make sure that I didn't make any syntax errors such as typos. Again, we see that both of the tests are failing, but that's okay because we'll finish the function design as we complete the rest of the steps of the How to Design Functions recipe.